The film begins with a flashback to World War II in Nagasaki, Japan, where Logan is being held as a prisoner of war in a deep underground cell. Above ground, Japanese soldiers prepare for an imminent American attack. The atmosphere is tense as planes approach, signaling the infamous bombing that will change history. A young Japanese officer, Yashida, is seen among the soldiers. Realizing the severity of the situation, he decides to free the prisoners. He opens Logan's cell, but Logan hesitates, sensing the impending disaster. As the soldiers prepare for death, Logan remains calm and composed, his instincts honed by years of survival. Moments later, the atomic bomb is dropped. A massive explosion engulfs the city, and a blinding light spreads across the landscape. Yashida, overwhelmed by the devastation, prepares to commit seppuku to preserve his honor. Before he can go through with it, Logan intervenes, pulling him into the underground shelter. As the blast wave approaches, Logan uses his body and regenerative powers to shield Yashida from the intense heat and radiation. The scene showcases Logan's resilience as his flesh burns away and regenerates repeatedly in the face of the nuclear inferno. Yashida, awestruck by Logan's sacrifice and healing abilities, develops a deep sense of gratitude and respect for him. The scene shifts to the present, where Logan lives in self-imposed exile in the wilderness. Haunted by his past and the loss of Jean Grey, he has become a recluse, disconnected from society. Logan wakes up in a cave, his rugged appearance reflecting his inner turmoil. His dreams are plagued by visions of Jean, reminding him of his guilt and inability to save her. As Logan ventures into a nearby town, he encounters a group of hunters. A confrontation arises when he discovers that they've left a poisoned bear in the woods. Just as he's about to strike, a young woman steps in. Her presence is commanding yet calm, and she grabs Logan's arm to stop him. The woman, Yukio, warns the hunters to back off, her tone measured but firm. She unsheathes her sword, a sleek and sharp weapon that glints under the dim bar lights. Despite her small stature, her confidence unnerves the hunters. Yukio then turns her attention to Logan, telling him to come with her. Despite his initial reluctance, Logan follows her out of the bar, and they drive off together in her car. As they drive through the night, Yukio begins to explain her purpose. She introduces herself as Yukio, an emissary sent by her employer, Master Yashida. She reveals that she's been searching for Logan for over a year. Yashida, a man whose life Logan saved decades ago during the bombing of Nagasaki, wishes to express his gratitude. Yukio explains that Yashida is now an old man, near death, and wants to thank Logan personally. She mentions that Yashida has a gift for Logan, a sword, as a token of appreciation for his heroism. Logan listens but remains skeptical and uninterested. He has no desire to revisit his past, much less accept gifts from strangers. Yukio, however, is persistent. She speaks of Yashida's urgency and the significance of Logan's actions in saving his life. Eventually, Logan agrees to go to Japan, but only on the condition that it's a brief visit, no more than a day. Yukio agrees, relieved that he's finally accepted the invitation. Logan and Yukio board a private jet bound for Japan. The flight is long, and Logan's discomfort with flying becomes evident. He fidgets in his seat, his unease palpable. Yukio tries to lighten the mood, but Logan remains tense, muttering about his dislike of being in the air. Despite his discomfort, the hours pass, and they finally land in Japan. Upon arrival, Logan and Yukio are driven to Yashida's residence, a sprawling estate surrounded by lush gardens and high walls. The property is heavily guarded, with security personnel stationed at every entrance. Logan notices this immediately and questions Yukio about the level of security. Before Logan is allowed to meet Yashida, he's told he must bathe. Initially, Logan refuses, irritated by the demand. However, Yukio insists, making it clear that it's non-negotiable. Reluctantly, Logan complies. He's led to a bathing area where attendants scrub him clean. Once cleaned up, Logan is dressed and escorted to Yashida's quarters. Yukio accompanies Logan into Yashida's room, where Logan finally sees the man he saved so many years ago. Yashida is now frail and aged, a stark contrast to the young soldier Logan remembers. Despite his physical decline, Yashida's eyes light up at the sight of Logan. He marvels at how little Logan has aged, his immortality evident. Yashida thanks Logan for saving his life during the Nagasaki bombing, expressing his deep gratitude. However, the conversation takes an unexpected turn when Yashida reveals his true intentions. He offers Logan a chance to end his immortality, framing it as a gesture of gratitude. Yashida explains that his team of scientists has developed a way to transfer Logan's healing abilities to him. In exchange, Logan would gain the mortality he's longed for, freeing him from the burden of eternal life. Logan, skeptical and offended, refuses the offer. He accuses Yashida of seeking power rather than showing gratitude. Disillusioned, Logan walks away, leaving Yashida disappointed. As Logan leaves Yashida's room, he witnesses a heated argument between Mariko, Yashida's granddaughter, and her father, Shingen. Shingen, enraged, slaps Mariko before storming off. Distressed, Mariko runs toward a cliff, seemingly contemplating suicide. Logan intervenes, grabbing her arm and talking her down. He reassures her, urging her to value her life. Later, Yukio visits Logan in his room. Logan, curious about Mariko, questions Yukio about her background. Yukio explains that Mariko is compassionate and kind, traits that led her to convince her family to take Yukio in when she was a homeless child scavenging for food. Yukio's gratitude toward Mariko is evident as she speaks. She then informs Logan that his plane will be ready in the morning, allowing him to leave as planned. Meanwhile, Yashida summons Shingen for a private conversation, which he requests be recorded. Yashida chastises Shingen for mismanaging the family business during his temporary leadership. He announces that upon his death, the family estate will go to Mariko, whom he deems more capable and compassionate. Shingen, furious, insults his father and storms out. That night, Logan begins to feel unwell. As he lies in bed, he dreams of Jean Grey, who questions his decision to reject Yashida's offer. She asks why he would turn down the chance to join her in the afterlife. Their tender moment turns sinister when Jean transforms into Yashida's doctor, Viper. Viper infects Logan with a toxin before disappearing. The morning after Yashida's death, the entire town is in mourning. Logan, still skeptical of Yashida's intentions and reeling from his mysterious illness, decides to attend the funeral out of respect. He joins Yukio and the rest of Yashida's family at the temple. The atmosphere is somber, with mourners dressed in traditional black attire, and the air is heavy with incense and grief. At the temple, Yukio introduces Logan to Shingen, Yashida's son. Shingen's demeanor is cold and dismissive, and he wastes no time expressing his disdain for Logan. He suggests that Logan should leave Japan and return to America, making it clear that he sees Logan as an outsider with no place in their family's affairs. Logan, unfazed, steps away and positions himself further from the family to avoid escalating the tension. As Logan observes the ceremony, he spots Viper among the attendees. The sight of her unsettles him, and he begins to question whether his encounter with her the previous night was real or just a dream. As the ceremony proceeds, Logan's instincts tell him something is wrong. He tries to warn Mariko, but she dismisses his concerns, thinking he's being overly paranoid. Suddenly, chaos erupts as a group of armed men storms the funeral. They are members of a local gang that has been at odds with the Yashida family. Logan is shot during the attack, and to his shock, his healing abilities fail to work as quickly as usual. Bleeding and weakened, he fights off as many attackers as he can, showcasing his feral combat skills despite his compromised state. Amid the chaos, the gang kidnaps Mariko and flees the scene. Determined to save her, Logan pursues them. He manages to intercept the gang, attacking them with raw ferocity despite his injuries. He frees Mariko, and together they escape into the city, dodging bullets and evading their pursuers. After narrowly escaping the gang, Logan and Mariko find themselves in a bustling train station. Mariko notices Logan's worsening condition and urges him to go to a hospital. However, Logan insists on staying with her, unwilling to leave her unprotected. On the train, Logan asks Mariko where they're going. She explains that her family owns a house in the south, and she believes it will be a safe place to hide. During the journey, Logan retreats to the restroom to inspect his injuries. He's puzzled and frustrated by his body's failure to heal, and he cleans his wounds as best as he can. When they arrive at their destination, Logan and Mariko find a cheap hotel to lay low. The accommodations are modest, but it provides them with a temporary refuge. That evening, the gang tracks them down and launches another assault. Logan, still weakened, struggles to fend them off. Just as the situation becomes dire, Mariko steps in, using arrows to take down their attackers with remarkable precision. Logan wakes up in a veterinarian's office, where Mariko had brought him after the fight. A local vet removed the bullets from Logan's body and stitched his wounds. Logan, still trying to piece together what's happening to him, begins to suspect that Viper is behind his failing healing abilities. Logan and Mariko eventually arrive at her family's old house in the countryside. The house is quiet and serene, a stark contrast to the chaos they've endured. Mariko prepares dinner for them, and the two share a moment of peace. The next day, Logan takes a walk by the lake near the house. Mariko follows him, and Logan discovers the underground prison where he was held during World War II. He recalls the day he saved Yashida's life during the bombing of Nagasaki. He reminisces about the moment Yashida thanked him and gifted him a sword, which Logan asked him to keep safe until his return. As rain begins to pour, Logan and Mariko run back to the house. Once inside, they change out of their wet clothes. In the quiet intimacy of the moment, they share a kiss, giving into the growing bond between them. The next morning, Logan is jolted awake by Mariko's screams. He rushes to find her being dragged away by the gang and thrown into a car. Logan gives chase but is unable to stop them as the car speeds off. Yukio arrives and picks Logan up, and together they track down Noburo, a corrupt government official and Mariko's fiancé. They find him in his penthouse, entertaining women. Logan orders the women to leave and confronts Noburo. He then demands some answers and Noburo confesses that Yashida's obsession with prolonging his life drove the family company into financial ruin. He also reveals that Shingen, enraged by Yashida's decision to leave the family fortune to Mariko, ordered a hit on her. Furious, Logan throws Noburo off the balcony into a pool below. Logan and Yukio head to Yashida's estate to confront Shingen. The place is eerily empty, with no security in sight. They discover a blood-written message directing them to Yashida Tower, where Mariko is being held. Before heading there, Logan decides to investigate the source of his weakened state. Using an X-ray machine, he discovers a mechanical parasite attached to his heart, suppressing his healing abilities. Determined to remove it, Logan performs self-surgery, cutting into his chest to extract the device. As Logan operates on himself, Shingen bursts into the room and attacks Yukio. A fierce battle ensues, with Yukio skillfully defending Logan while he completes the surgery. Logan finally removes the parasite but collapses from cardiac arrest. Yukio desperately calls for Logan to wake up. Moments later, his wounds begin to heal, and he regains consciousness. Fully restored, Logan confronts Shingen. The two engage in a brutal fight, but Logan, now at full strength, easily defeats Shingen, bringing their conflict to an end. On his way to the Yashida Tower, Logan moves with determination, ready to rescue Mariko and confront whoever is behind the chaos. However, as he approaches the heavily fortified tower, he encounters a group of Yashida ninjas who have long protected the estate. Despite his best efforts, Logan is subdued and captured. A few hours later, Logan regains consciousness in a sterile, high-tech laboratory. He finds himself restrained, unable to move. Viper, the venomous scientist and ally of Yashida, approaches him with a smug demeanor. She reveals her plan to extract Logan's healing abilities, which will allow Yashida to achieve immortality. She taunts Logan, explaining how his powers have been suppressed and how his suffering is a necessary step in fulfilling Yashida's desires. Nearby, a massive, intimidating robot stands dormant. As Viper steps aside, the silver samurai comes to life, its glowing katana sparking with energy. Mariko, who has been held captive nearby, sees the danger and acts swiftly. She steps between Logan and the silver samurai, forcing the robot to hesitate. Now free, Logan engages the silver samurai in a brutal fight. Despite his best efforts, the robot proves to be stronger and more resilient. In a devastating moment, the silver samurai severs Logan's claws, sending him into excruciating pain. With Logan incapacitated, the robot begins extracting his healing abilities, draining his life force. As the silver samurai opens its armor, it reveals the shocking truth. Yashida is inside, piloting the mechanical suit. The elderly man, thought to have passed away, is alive and desperate to steal Logan's powers to prolong his own life. Mariko, horrified by her grandfather's actions, takes matters into her own hands. She sneaks up behind Yashida and stabs him, momentarily disrupting the extraction process. Her courage gives Logan the opening he needs to recover and fight back. Summoning his remaining strength, Logan tears into the silver samurai, ripping apart its armor piece by piece. Logan kills Yashida, throwing his body from the tower. A few days later, the dust is settled. Mariko, now the rightful head of the Yashida family and its empire, bids Logan farewell. She expresses her gratitude for his bravery and sacrifices, and they share a heartfelt goodbye. Logan boards a private jet, ready to leave Japan and move on from the ordeal. Yukio, who has proven herself a loyal ally and skilled fighter, joins him. She declares herself Logan's bodyguard, vowing to protect him wherever he goes.